Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, no matter where in the world you might be. This is another live edition of the Highbury Squad. It's a new week, but will it be a new dawn and a new day for the Arsenal Football Club?
Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad.
Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome to another live edition of the Highbury Squad with myself, and I'm welcoming my podcast brother back from another mother, Mr. Super Kevin Campbell, rocking that Prince shirt today.
Arsenal, beat them.
Arsenal.
Number right, everything. Broke the neck, the lot. Madness.
It's going to be an interesting one tonight. And for those of you who love same old Arsenal Monday nights, we're kind of bringing it to you tonight because on the show we have the host of Lee Judges TV and, of course, the host and founder of Chronicles of a Gooner, Mr. Harry Symeou. Boys, welcome to the big show. Hello.
How are we doing, guys?
Hi, Harry. Hi, Dan. Well done, guys. Good to see you guys.
We're doing really good. I mean, it's tough times, let's be honest. I'm depressed, I'm not going to lie. Football is life, as what's his name from Ted Lasso says, who, by the way, I could have met if I'd gone to the MLS All-Star game the other day, but Arsenal depressed me so much I stayed at home, right? I wanted to start off real quick, guys, with something because it's so tricky talking about Arsenal online these days. And you know, it's tricky talking about anything in life. People can't agree. And if you disagree, they think you're a hater. They think you're part of a problem. They think you're this and that and the other. Can we just crank it down a notch a little bit? You know, we all love our club and we all have opinions about our club. But that doesn't mean that we have to take on a different tone that is negative in a way that smashes people just because they have a different thought to you. So I wanted to start tonight because Harry's a really good guy and he works really hard and he's built Chronicles of a Gooner up, and a lot of people who do podcasts do it, you know, for the love of the club, and some people make tons of money and other people don't. And it takes a lot of graft and effort to bring you live shows every single day. So I just wanted to say that, you know, Harry is not part of the problem. Harry, I know that I wanted to bring it up. I hope you don't mind because I just think it's a little bit outrageous.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's one of those things where it's kind of like, for me, people are like that. You know, people have polarizing opinions nowadays. It's just the way of the world. You know, if you want to talk about Brexit, you're either hard Brexit or you're hard anti-Brexit. You know, whatever cause it is, whatever subject it is, people seem to pick one extreme or the other nowadays. And that's just the way it is. You know, when I do podcasts, I give my opinions. People would disagree with those opinions. I like to think that I put those opinions across in a way that at least make people think, even if they disagree with me. But it's just the way it is. You know, Twitter is a strange place, and when you're getting people kind of coming at you every time Arsenal lose a game, you know, if I tell you how many DMs I got after we got beat by Chelsea, as if it was me that picked the team, it's crazy. So it's almost like it's become fashionable to criticize. And I always say, if you're a supporter of a football club, you criticize constructively, not because it's fashionable, not because it's fun, not because it's going to get you clicks, and not because it's going to get you somewhere. You criticize constructively. And, you know, unfortunately, you know, and I'm guilty of this as well. I shouldn't respond to a lot of it, and I do. And today I spent a good half an hour, 40 minutes responding to it, and I shouldn't have. Wasted time.
Yeah, and you know what? At some point you do feel compelled to. And I know, Dan, that you've been getting it in the neck a little bit because of your stance on Arteta. And, you know, this is part of the process. You know, a lot of the times we become immune to it, but we love what we do. And I just wanted to open real quick because we can talk about football and all get along and disagree. And I think that's the part that gets missed in this, Dan.
Yeah, massively. Listen, I don't think I'm going to agree with someone above me and to the left of me tonight. I can tell you that. But it doesn't mean that I don't get on with them. I absolutely
Or you
love
don't
the pair of
respect
them.
them, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. And, you know, me and Harry go way back, and I've had the pleasure of getting to know Kevin really, really well over the last year and a half, and likewise with you, Soph. So I understand that we all get on as individuals, and we definitely do not share the same opinions on the club that we love. But I tell you what we all do want is to see Arsenal winning and doing well, because otherwise we wouldn't be sitting here with Arsenal shirts behind us on Arsenal podcasts, going to Arsenal games and putting out Arsenal content. So let's all get one thing straight. We want to see this team turn around, but it doesn't stop us from going through the emotions with it. I have had it in the neck for 18 months because I've not wanted this manager, and I've been told that I'm a problem and that I'm toxic and that I'm negative because I don't like Mikel Arteta. I've never once said I don't like Mikel Arteta. I just don't think the guy's good enough. And I'll give opinions why I believe that to be the case. Me and Harry always have a debate on why we believe certain individuals should or should not be in the team. But we always back them up. We don't just say that Arteta's crap and then not tell him why I think he's crap, or that Arteta's great, like Harry's opinion, and then he's not. He doesn't not back it up. Same with Granit Xhaka. I'm sure he'll come up later. I can't wait for Harry's monologue on Granit Xhaka. So, you know, this is what happens, and we have to use it as therapy, because that's what it is for us people. It gets us through the day because we have frustrations, or we have the emotion of, wow, we're so happy because Arsenal have either won something, won a game, picked up 3 points, whatever it be. That's the life. That's why we do what we do, and that's why we enjoy doing what we do.
Yeah, well said, Dan. And Super Kev wanted to save you till last here, because as an ex-player who's worn the shirt for the Arsenal, for Everton, played abroad as well, you have such a great connection with the fans and you understand their passion. You've been on the other end of abuse from fans, some of it not great, some of it, you know, and then the loving that you get as well. But you spent a lot of time talking to Arsenal podcasters over the last couple of seasons, and also your work through Sky Sports. Most of the people are really just trying to talk about how they feel and are trying to have positive dialogue about what we need, what we're lacking, and it comes from a good place.
Yeah, look, understanding what the fans want, the opinions sometimes differ. Obviously, there's been a big push for, you know, Arteta out, Edu out, and all that kind of thing. But I tend to look at the big picture. And one thing I do agree with Dan on, and a lot of people might not remember, is before Mikel Arteta came in, I didn't want Mikel Arteta. I wanted an experienced manager. But the fact of the matter is, the ownership went with Mikel Arteta, who is inexperienced. They went with him for a reason. So, being an Arsenal man, I backed him. Just like a lot of other fans, they'll back the manager and say, yeah, he's getting on with it. But I don't want to jump too much into the show right now.
Yeah,
but the way things have gone at the football club, you have to get results too. And whichever way you look at it, these players are going to get another manager sack. That's the bottom line. They are. Mikel Arteta is going to get the sack because the players, for whatever reason, are just not getting the results that he needs. So
yeah,
he might get backed by the ownership. He might get backed by the ownership because they've put their neck on or should I say, his neck on the block. But the fan base have had enough, really, haven't they? Let's be honest.
They really have. They really have. And good evening to everyone in live chat. And it's remiss of me because on days like this, I just want to get stuck into some important stuff. But we have to salute the squaddies, fellas. All right, with your right arm, Dan Potts. There we go. At ease, everybody. Now, why is everyone asking me to look at John Cross's last tweet? Is there something that's broken that I'm not aware of that we should be concerned about?
Let's have a look.
I'll have a look. Yeah.
Okay. Can someone have a look, please? Okay. Let's start at the very beginning. Gosh, it's such a big. It's like a Greek meze. There's so many courses. There's so many dishes. Where do you begin? And you don't want to get full early on. So we'll pace ourselves. Dan, I want to start with you here because top 5 talking points for Monday. My number one is, look, Man City game, I don't want to get into the tactics and all that garbage. We were garbage. He tried to do something different. It didn't work, and that will come into part of the conversation. I want to start with Maitland-Niles' Instagram post. When a player
6 minutes ago, 6 minutes ago, John Cross writes, Ainsley Maitland-Niles holds showdown talks after Arsenal staged remarkable transfer U-turn over Everton switch. Surely he deserves a chance to play, or let him go somewhere else.
So here we go again. Wolves, we could have sold him to Wolves for a good few million, Dan, and we put the kibosh on that. He was kind of told that he wasn't required, and we let him go to West Brom for an absolutely hellacious loan spell, but that was part of his own doing because he didn't want to play anything other than midfield, and West Brom gave him that opportunity. But I've always felt that Maitland-Niles is like Phil Neville for a team. He's so talented. He's versatile. He can play multiple positions. And as the season goes, becomes very important to a club. And I would also argue that right now, he's a better right back than Cedric and Chambers and Bellerin. What is your take on an Arsenal player taken to Instagram with bitmojis that have tears on them and says, I just want to go somewhere where I'm wanted?
This is the perfect example of the manager mismanaging yet another player. A few years ago, Sophie, West Brom offered a substantial amount of money for our left back called Kieran Gibbs, and we messed about. And in the end, he went for half the price. Now, Maitland-Niles, we could have got 15 to 20 million for at Wolves, but we were told as a fan base, and Arteta told Ainsley Maitland-Niles, you are part of our plans for this season. Well, he obviously was not, was he? Because he went on loan to West Brom. He was playing at right back, and he actually got man of the match the last time he played right back for Arsenal against Everton away. We lost the game, but he was by far our best Arsenal player. And then he was bombed out the side for 4 weeks, and people said it was because we had Newcastle in the FA Cup and we rotated. But then a few weeks after that, there was the international break, and then he came on into the side against Crystal Palace as a left wing back this time, and he was rusty. He looked terrible. It wasn't the right game for him to come into it, and he just didn't look fit enough. And all of a sudden, it's like, well, you're not good enough. I've used you twice. You got man of the match in one game, but I put you on the other wing and you've done nothing. So now it's time for you to go and get some time on loan at West Brom. Total mismanagement of a player, in my opinion. Could have gone to Wolves and played wherever he wanted to, and we could have got 15, 20 million, which is close to what we got for Joe Willock. And we could have put both of those two bits of money together and gone and funded somebody that we needed like Bissouma. But we haven't done that. We have got such bad recruitment staff still. It is unbelievable. And this is just another example of what not to do, Soph. So now he's come to Instagram and he's exhausted like all of us are, I think. And he's just saying, I want to play. I don't agree with it, by the way. I don't think it should be. I think it's unprofessional, etc. But I kind of accept where he's coming from in terms of the emotion because he wants to play football, Sophie. He's 22, is he? He's put into the England squad. Gareth Southgate even gave him the chance because he was playing well for Arsenal, got us to the FA Cup final. Everybody wanted him to stay. And now it is like Tucky's saying here, a cry for help. It's basically saying, I don't know what you want me to do anymore then, because I'm not playing. I'm not playing in midfield. I'm not playing at fullback. I was at loan. You've still not sold me. And now I want to go to Everton to prove myself in the team, and you're rejecting it. So it's like, please tell me, make it clear to me and to the fans, by the way, because it's not transparent for us, as to what future you see for some of these players. We have so many bad players, and one of them is not Maitland-Niles, that we can't get rid of the club. You'd like to think we could do something with some of the ones that have potential to be quite good. And I would keep him, Soph. He's better than Chambers. He's better than Holding. He's better than Cedric. He's better than Bellerin, in my opinion. He can play in a number of positions, whether it be out wide, fullback, or in centre midfield, where we're short, by the way. But it seems now that we are mismanaging yet another player. I'm just so confused, and I feel sorry for the kid. I do. I feel sorry for him.
Yeah. Harry, I'll come to you next because I think we all want, the Hayland boys to do really well. And it appears that the reality is that not everyone is going to be as talented as Saka or as talented as Emil Smith-Rowe. May not get the opportunities they do because their talent is just so superior to everybody else's. But, You could argue with the team that we have today that maybe, was Willock a good opportunity? I think yes, because you got to bank on that right now if you want to move and evolve this team forward. There's Reece Nelson and talks about him going to Feyenoord. And of course, you have Maitland-Niles. What's your take on that right back position based on the fact that tomorrow is the deadline day? There's the Bellerin rumours going to Barcelona. Looks like Spurs might be getting the right back that we may have wanted. Talk me through that a little bit, because I think this is what makes Arsenal fans kind of sit in despair.
So the Maitland-Niles situation is a difficult one for me because I think he is a player with a lot of talent. I think some of his best attributes are his athleticism, his versatility, the fact that he's very composed on the ball. Sometimes you could argue he looks a little bit too composed at times, a little bit too relaxed. But I think that is something that, if you use it in the right way, you can really benefit from. I think he's the perfect player from a fullback position in terms of the way Arteta likes his right back to step into the midfield. I think he's very useful in that sense. I'm a little bit torn on this one, okay? Because on the one hand, I think letting Maitland-Niles go to Everton on loan with an option to buy does nothing for us as a football club. It weakens our squad in a sense of we're letting a very versatile player go and join Everton and we're not getting anything out of it. Because at the end of the day, Everton could turn around and say, yeah, we're not going to take up that option to buy. And what was the point? So unless Arsenal are going to get cash in for Ainsley Maitland-Niles, or they're going to get a deal that means there will be cash coming in the future for certain, then I don't think Arsenal should let him go. And I think Arsenal have done that far too much in the past, where they've put the players' wishes before the needs of the team. And sometimes it's cost us. So I understand where Maitland-Niles is coming from, but I think as well, for me, he's got to accept that he's not going to be a centre midfielder. I don't think he's going to be a centre midfielder anywhere. I don't think he's cut out for it. I genuinely don't. I think he is a fullback / wing back. And if he accepts that and develops that and works on that, I think he can go on to be a really, really good player. So as I say, I'm torn because I feel like, Dan mentioned he got called up to the England squad. He didn't get called up to the England squad because he's a great centre midfielder. He got called up to the England squad because he can play right back, left back, centre midfield, right midfield. Yeah. And that's why. So for me, if I were Ainsley Maitland-Niles, I would look at that right back position at Arsenal now. I would say, I'm better than Chambers. I'm better than Cedric. Bellerin's headed for the door. Why can't I make that position mine for years to come? And I think a lot of the reluctance to play him is because he's made it very clear that he doesn't want to play in that position. But I honestly think he could be our right back for years to come. And I'm torn because I don't want to see the club keep someone hostage that doesn't want to be here. But equally, right, I don't think we're doing ourselves any favours by letting him join Everton, a team we may be competing with, on a loan deal with no obligation to buy it. To me, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. I mean, I think last season we were competing with Everton. This season we're competing with Newcastle, Norwich and Burnley and a few other teams. Kev, I wanted to put this comment up as well from Suraj because Daniel James going to Leeds potentially for, I don't know if that deal's officially done, 28 million euros. We've talked about this before. How do other teams get such deals for these kinds of players and we can't? Harry mentioned what does it do for us to send Maitland-Niles at this point, knowing his potential value to Everton? Willock maybe, I think, went for good money. Eddie Nketiah, there's this disagreement with Crystal Palace about his worth versus what we think he's worth. This is years of being really poor in the transfer market, and now others may be taking the piss out of us a little bit in terms of they know how desperate we are. But what's your take on seeing a player like Maitland-Niles put an Instagram post up like that, but looking at this as well as we can't sell any of these guys or move them on?
Yeah, the problem is Willock's been the only one who's our team's bid for. We nearly got rid of Xhaka. In the end, they dropped the bid. Nobody's bid for Maitland-Niles. I understand Maitland-Niles wants to play. And it's part of the problem. Listen, and sometimes these things are so difficult for these youngsters. And I call him a youngster. He's 20 odd. He's over 20s. He should know what he wants. If you can play multiple positions, you do not turn around and say, I don't want to play right back or full back or wing back. I only want to play certain midfield, because you know what that does? That limits the opportunities you're going to get. The moment you come out and say that. So here's the thing. Maitland-Niles, as an Arsenal lad who's come through the ranks, should be, I'll play wherever. That should be the shout. I'll play wherever, because there's opportunities for him to play. But the problem is he doesn't want to do it. So then the management can use it against you, because as far as they're concerned, they don't see him as a good enough midfielder.
Kev, there's reports coming out that Ornstein is saying that Maitland-Niles has come out and said that he wants to play fullback, not CM. And there's a few people putting that in here that he's tweeted that and stuff now.
He never tweeted that back then. That's my point. He's tweeting it now.
It's no good it coming out today. Exactly.
What's the point it coming out now? We needed it to come out a year ago, where I'll play anywhere for Arsenal.
But what's the problem with him realizing? But Kev, what's the problem with him realizing that that opportunity is not going to come? So he's resigned himself to playing the position that everyone has told him he should be playing for the last few years.
Yeah, because he's already come out and said he didn't want to play fullback. He said he wants to play centre mid, which is why he went to West Bromwich Albion, because he said that's the only position he wants to play. He's centre midfield. So the club, as far as they're concerned, Xhaka was better last season. Thomas Partey in there. He's not going to play. So what do? You want to play? Okay, we'll loan you to West Bromwich Albion. So he went to West Bromwich Albion. Didn't quite work out there. And you know what that should have done? That should have made him.
Kev.
No, but it didn't work out. But what that should have done, Sophie, having as a player who's been on loan, when you come back to Arsenal, you're not going to manage and say, listen, I'll play anywhere. I will play anywhere. You want to play me fullback? I'll play fullback. You want to play me in goal? I'll go in goal. Because it's just a totally different club, Arsenal to West Bromwich Albion. But he never done that. Now we're hearing all of a sudden he'll play fullback.
Let's not forget as well that we're talking about a player who's gone on Instagram, okay, and put a post up like that, which, as Dan mentioned, is, in my opinion, completely unprofessional.
Unprofessional is not right.
If there's been things like that going on in the past as well, and people say, oh, because he said in the past he didn't want to play fullback, it doesn't mean he doesn't want to play there now. But Kev, you must have been in dressing rooms where managers have almost switched off from players because they've seen something in the way they've come across that they don't like. And I'm not even defending Arteta here, because I've said I don't want Ainsley Maitland-Niles to leave, but it just feels like if you're bleating that drum for how long, I don't want to play fullback, I want to play in the centre of midfield, etc., etc. Then you're going on Instagram talking about moves away and things like that. As a manager, I think a lot of managers would be turned off by that. So it shouldn't come as a surprise.
Hold on a second, Harry. Are you saying that his tweet with the crying bitmojis is unprofessional?
Yeah.
Isn't it a sense, though, of him just frustrated? So, he's been the jack of all trades and almost has developed into the master of none at Arsenal. He went on a loan at West Brom because they gave him the opportunity to play in a position. Kev, you've said on this show before, if he wants to be a midfielder, let him go try and be a midfielder. It might not just happen at the Arsenal. But then if he realises that he's not going to get that position and he says, okay, you know what? It looks like a weak spot right now. The club don't have too much money. If that's going to be my shot, I want to stay and I want to play in that position. What is wrong with that? I don't understand what is wrong with him turning things around and saying, okay, you know what, I'll give it a go, considering that he's come through the ranks as well. But he's saying that apparently, according to reports.
He's saying that today.
On the day he wants to earn a move.
On the day he is saying his attitude is fine. He's saying that. Where really, if we're honest, Sophie, if we're honest, like I said, after the West Brom move, he should have came back and said, you know what, I'll play anywhere. You play me anywhere. I'm happy to do it. But we're hearing it today when he wants to get a move.
Yeah, of course.
And I'm not criticizing him. I'm just saying the facts of the matter are we're hearing it today.
But also, Dan, he's dealing with a club. Dan, he's dealing with a club that are sending him mixed messages, no?
What I find more worrying is, and this does relate to the mixed messages, we need a right back. I think we might have just found one. That worries me.
Exactly.
Because instead of them going to buy one, we're now begging somebody to play right back. And it looks to me of what the chat are saying, he's now come out and said that he wants to play right back. A couple of weeks ago, I had a chat with Cecil over AFTV, and he was saying to me that he'd been to the under-23s game. We got absolutely spanked, by the way, against West Ham. And he sat next to his brother, Maitland-Niles' brother, and he said he's happy to stay and he wants to play right back. And I was surprised, like you guys. I thought, really? Because he's not said that at all for a long, long time. He's made it very clear that he wants to play midfield. So if it is true what's being said about the right back position, and if Maitland-Niles has said that he just wants to play or wants somewhere that wants him on Instagram, whatever it be, and that's then now the U-turn of, okay, you can now be our right back. That to me is the biggest cop out of not buying a right back as a priority position that we need, because Chambers has tried it and he's failed. Cedric has tried it and he's failed. Bellerin we can't give away for free. Why? Because he's awful and he's always been awful, but the fan base didn't want to accept it. Maybe Maitland-Niles is the best option we've got right now, and he can use one of those players that he can't get rid of as the backup. And that's now our new right back. That's what this is saying to me. If it's in the chat, what they're saying is true about this U-turn, and Maitland-Niles is now staying to be our right back. That's disappointing to me. That is not good business, in my opinion, at all.
No, the tweet says, sorry, Soph, the tweet from Ornstein, which everybody's referring to, says, understand Maitland-Niles has stated from the start of this season he'd like to play solely as a fullback, the position in which he was selected for England last year, and has never during the current campaign asked to operate in midfield. Yet all of his previous seasons, he's talked about not wanting to play there. So now you have to understand.
There's a contradiction, isn't there?
Exactly. You have to understand why a manager who's got this guy who's not wanted to play there for all this time has now done a massive U-turn and said, I want to play there. Well, now you've got to earn your place there. And if you're going to let him go, that's fine. You know, if he's not part of the plans, you move him on. But what you do not do is you do not move him on to no benefit for Arsenal Football Club. You do not move him on a loan just because he needs to play so that you weaken your squad. I'm sick of Arsenal doing that. Arsene Wenger used to do that all the time. He used to let players go because they wanted to go and leave the team short. No, Arsenal are Arsenal, and we need to look after our number one. If Everton want him and they come and stump up the cash, by all means, you can have him. If they want to do a loan with an obligation to buy, you can have him. But I don't see why we should be giving him just because he threw his toys out of the pram on Instagram, why we should be allowing him to go.
I understand that, but he's also working with a manager who sends mixed messages to players. Xhaka wanted to leave, go to Roma, flirted with Mourinho on Instagram all summer, comes back, gets an improved deal, more money. El Neni gets a new contract. Holding gets a new contract. He's seeing all of these people around him that are kind of average, and he's trying to bust the gut. When he was asked to play in various positions, did so. And I don't want to kind of just focus on Maitland-Niles because we've got so many things to talk about. We're already 28 minutes in. But I think we also have to understand that this manager has ostracized players like Guendouzi and Torreira, Mavropanos, and he's made baffling decisions about players. And so for Maitland-Niles to come out and make that type of post, I think is a cry for help, like someone said in chat earlier. Kev, I've got a message for you. There's 900 people in live chat right now.
Wow. Come on, guys.
So
hit the like button. Minimum 450 we want. Like,
you know
come
what?
on.
You got to hit
Vinny,
it.
son. Hit it. Hit it, Vinny. Hit that like button. Go on.
Okay, let's move on to the story today from Goal, which I take with a grain of salt, about the Chronicles backing Arteta. Okay, now look, I'm no fan, Dan, and I'm going to start with you here because you've been really vocal about this. I'm not a fan. We've been on the same page for a whole year, Dan, about Mikel Arteta. I can understand them giving him more time to get out of his own mess that he's created with the players that he and Adu have chosen. That's what this smacks of to me. Feels like if he gets negative results against Norwich and Burnley and we go into the North London derby and that is a complete disaster as well, that maybe they will look back on that and maybe a decision will be made then. What is your take on them and this story that they're willing to stick with him, and do you agree that it's for him to get out of the mess that he's created?
Well, obviously, I don't agree with the decision to stick with him because I wanted him sacked after Villarreal, and that feels like a lifetime ago now. But it doesn't matter what they say, so do you know why? Because the fans will decide with their voice and their feet when this guy gets sacked. And it will be if we lose to Norwich, it will be if we lose to Burnley, it will definitely be if we lose the North London derby. And the way that we're losing games at the moment is, I think, what's more frustrating and worrying to fans because the performance isn't there and the manager cannot get the best out of this team. I don't care what anyone says. So as for Kroenke backing them, I think that they have actually backed him enough, in my opinion. And I know that we can't say that he's been backed to the hilts and we can't go extreme with it. But I think he's definitely been backed more than Unai Emery. Certainly in the transfer market he has. Because when Unai Emery says, get me Saha and you bring Pepe, and they say, get me Upamecano and they bring you David Luiz, that's not being backed. So Mikel Arteta says, I would like Gabriel. There you go. Would you like Thomas Partey? Is that the guy you'd like? Yes, here he is. What would you like to partner Gabriel? Ben White, please. There's 50 million. That to me is backing the manager. So I think that Arteta has been backed with certain transfers. I'm not saying all of them. Some of them have been dreadful. I think Edu has to take some of the blame for that, not just Arteta, because obviously they're doing this recruitment process together as a new regime. I don't think the David Luiz deal particularly worked out as much as people said. I think they've completely messed up the renewal of Xhaka, which I'm sure we'll come on to. I don't think that Runnison was a good goalkeeper signing. I don't think that Willian was a good signing either. I think that some of the signings have worked out. I like Gabriel and Partey. I think Ødegaard would look to be a good signing. But some of these players, and Ødegaard's another one, so that apparently Arteta was begging to get back to the club, and they gave him Ødegaard. So it looks now that for the first time, we are seeing what the manager wants, the manager gets. My problem has never been with what happens off the pitch. It's always been with what happens on it. Because I honestly do not believe that even with Gabriel, White and Partey, who I think will improve the first 11, that we'll see much of a difference because this manager is so clueless. When a manager believes that you can go into the game against Manchester City, set up the way that we did, dropping players, forcing people into number 8s and number 10s, leaving out our best player in the last 2 games in Lokonga, putting Kolasinac, who apparently you want to terminate the contract of, at the back, only to find out that actually, as much as I hate the guy, he turned out to be better than Holden and Chambers, who are the next Steve Bold and Tony Adams, according to these fans. So when you look at it, it is so bad that you are literally, it's unbelievable to find out where to start. But I honestly believe that this manager has been backed more than Unai Emery. And I stand by that because he's been in the job now for 18 months and he's been given the whole pretty much new squad now. Probably got 4 or 5 players that can't be shifted. And that is true. That is true. We've got some that can't be shifted. We're looking at it again this window. Me and Casey were only talking earlier about the fact that Bellerin and Kolasinac are still here, that Holden and Chambers are Wenger players, as is Granit Xhaka, as is Aubameyang and Lacazette, even players that aren't so bad. They're still here. So there are some, absolutely, 100%. But I do believe that he has been backed more than a lot of people are saying, because it can't be, it's the players no more, because the players are his.
I think the problem.
Hold on, they're not exactly, Dan.
They are. But Kev,
but
he chooses them.
A
few of them aren't. A few of them aren't.
At Manchester City, you just said he's been backed. The key is, if you get backed, you need those players on the pitch. Let's have it right. Gabriel and Ben White will defend better than Holding and Chambers did at Manchester City.
I agree with that.
But so that's the only point
We don't know that. We don't know that.
Yes, we do. We know what Gabriel's like at the back. Gabriel's better than... put them all together. Gabriel alone is better than all of them put together.
Kev, last season we had Gabriel, Partey, Pepe, the 3 players that are the most that people have suggested that were missing, and we still weren't any better. What makes us believe this manager will improve this team?
That is true as well.
Sophie.
Yes, I'm listening.
Gabriel is better than Chambers and Holding put together. I believe that. That's my opinion. He is. So, again, it's all very well backing a manager, but you have to have the players on the pitch. You have to have them on the pitch. It's not an excuse. It's just the truth. Now, the only way they're going to
had them on the pitch last season.
Sophie, we're talking about now. I know he had them on the pitch last season. And remember, Gabriel managed them. He had played them up. He got COVID, and then he weren't quite the same. But you know, and I know, Gabriel is better than both of those players put together.
Why do you bench Lokonga then, who's been our best player so far this season?
Sophie, the benching of Lokonga wasn't the problem. We can't defend.
So, midfield is your first line of defence, isn't it, really?
No, it isn't. It is not. It is not, because we started the game against Manchester City okay in the first 5 minutes. But as soon as they attacked us...
A whole 5 minutes.
No, but this is the whole point. This is the whole point. As soon as they attacked us, we capitulate.
Yeah, which apparently everyone was saying that from January we're the best defensive team. We were second in the league, and so far this season we've played like Wenger's last 5 seasons and Unai Emery's last 8 months as Arsenal. I mean, here's the scoop, right? You say Lokonga, it wasn't the answer, and I'm not a tactical genius.
No, I didn't say it wasn't the answer. I didn't say it wasn't the answer.
You said it. No,
I said it wouldn't have made no difference.
Okay, Harry, do you think it... Okay, so then if he wouldn't have made a difference, why do we think Gabriel or Partey or Pepe would have made a difference against Manchester City, the champions of England?
Because he's a better defender.
Why play Kolasinac when you have Tavares, who's a young player? Yes, he's learning, but is he not a better option? Like, why does he continue to choose these players that are useless and we've seen for years and years over and over again, Harry and Kevin? Answer me that. Go on, Harry.
Because Dan just like I was baffled by the decision to play Kolasinac, but everybody said that Kolasinac wasn't actually that bad. So I don't think we should really dig in on Sead Kolasinac, because I don't think that was the problem. In answer to the whole Lokonga thing, I think Kev's right. I think we tried to be a little bit more dominating. We tried to be a little bit more on the front foot against Man City. And that's why he picked the midfield he did. I didn't agree with it. But let's be honest, the goals came from our centre-backs not being able to do the basics. Callum Chambers not being able to defend that ball coming into the penalty area. We've said it time and time again. He should have been side on. If you can't get to the ball, as soon as you realize that the trajectory is beating you, you step into Gundogan, you make it difficult for him, and you reduce his chances of scoring. Those are basics of playing as a centre-back. Callum Chambers let us down. The next goal, the ball comes into the penalty area. Cedric doesn't know if he's kicking it or if he's heading it, and it ends up going through and it squeezes through, and from then on anything can happen. So for me, these are fundamental basics that players are getting wrong. And look, I said it on my podcast today. I think that Mikel Arteta is out of his depth now. I don't think he's going to be able to turn this around. I really am worried about, how much of a task this is and his inexperience and all of that. But if we're being completely honest and fair, which is all we're trying to be, you can't say that Cedric and Chambers, 2 of the players that cost us those goals, are going to be on the pitch when Mikel Arteta has everybody available. So while we're not saying that Arteta is scot-free, you can't dismiss the fact that we've got all of these players missing. And I think, was it 8 of the players that were on the pitch the other day were Arsene Wenger players. So we're talking about him, it's being his team. Yeah, he's brought loads of players in, but if they're not available, then the team that we saw against Manchester City isn't really his team, is it?
Isn't it his job Dan, is it not his job? Okay, let me give you an example. David Moyes took over West Ham, and he went, and West Ham fans didn't want him. They took him through the mud, and the owners. Somehow that club has come together. They've bought some really good players, and he's pulled it. Now, I'm not saying West Ham are going to win the league or qualify for Champions League or win anything, Dan, but you can see the evolution in the club, in what Moyes is trying to do. The team has an identity. The fans are behind it. They've got the support. You can see what Dean Smith is trying to do at Aston Villa. Even the new manager at Wolves. I know they've lost 3 on the trot, but those games they lost, they played better football under this new manager in 3 games than Nuno in 1 year. And maybe they won't be great this season and they'll go down. I doubt it. I think they'll come together. But you can see that what they're trying to do. I've never been able to see what Arteta is trying to do, Dan, ever. And I think this is part of the problem. And when you look at some of these teams I'm talking about, Leicester under Brendan Rodgers, their goal this year is going to be Champions League or bust. But they won the FA Cup. They've progressed.
Arteta won the FA Cup, but that's neither here nor there.
He's regressed since
Sophie,
it. Hold on, I was asking Dan. Let Dan answer the question, and then I'll come to you, Kevin.
All I'm saying is the FA Cup win don't mean anything.
Well, the love coupons have run out for sure. They've expired.
Means nothing.
I mean, it's like a Marks and Spencer sandwich you bought and forgot about in the back of your fridge. It's gone. It's over. Dan.
It's mouldy. Yep.
Yeah, we're mouldy.
Well, I look at it like this. When you say about Mikel Arteta and you can compare him to the David Moyes, you can compare him to the Dean Smiths, you can compare him to any other manager. Apparently, according to the stats, there's 18 managers in this league better than Mikel Arteta. Only Sisco at Watford was the one who finished below him because of his lack of experience. Everybody else, even Bruno over at Wolves now, has got ahead of him because of his previous experience with Benfica. They've all been managers, Soph, so they understand and have at least a bit of experience. This guy has never done it. So I was never wanting this guy ever. He's going to learn on the job. The problem I'm seeing is I'm not seeing a lot of learning. I'm not seeing a lot of anything. I'm not seeing any progress. I don't see his style of play in 20 months. I don't see that we are a well-balanced side like people keep telling me. We're definitely not better defensively like people were telling me all last year because we've conceded 9 goals in 3 games. So that's not really better defensively as far as I'm concerned. And when you say, he couldn't pick the team that he wanted to against Man City, previously, I wasn't talking about the Man City game. I was talking in general. He's been given, I think, 15 to 16 players out of this 25-man squad. So, some of them are out at the moment, and he is now having to revert to some of the ones he doesn't want due to sickness and injuries or whatever it be. But actually, the majority of this side are either his signings or players that were already here that he has either put on long-term contracts, like Rob Holding, Martinelli, Saka, Smith Rowe, Tierney, Granit Bloody Xhaka again. So we have now got his team. He's getting rid of some of the deadwood. He's trying to remove some of the culture, the Mustafis, the Özils, the Willians, people like that. And some of it is very, very difficult for him to do. So off the pitch, I've never really slated the guy. And I haven't really slated Edu or Arteta in terms of what they're doing outside and off the pitch. But on it, I'm so confused. And the players are looking confused. I don't think that there are any centre forwards that we want to be coming to play for Arsenal with these tactics. Because trust me, you ain't going to get any chances. You're going to have to go and create it yourself because no one's going to create it for you in the midfield. We are so bad. It is unbelievable at trying to create chances. And we have no shots at all that I think are ever going to go into the back of the net. And then we beat West Brom and everybody started to get excited because their under-18s couldn't put anything less than 6 past them. But now we have to be realistic going into the Man City game. And I realised that Kolasinac and Holding and Chambers are at the back. And people say, well, you had nobody else. I see Pablo Mari on the bench that was, who's signing? Mikel Arteta's. But he would rather play Kolasinac at the back than Pablo Mari, his signing. So is he no good now? That's another bad signing of Arteta's, is it? Because according to this manager at the weekend, that was a bad thing to do. He got bullied against Lukaku 100%. But they weren't coming out to bully us, Man City. They were coming out to outpace us or to try and get us some kind of understanding around us. They didn't even have to do anything.
They didn't have to do anything. They didn't have to
turn up. Yeah, they didn't even have to do anything but turn up. I'm so confused.
19% possession, 0 corners, 0 clear-cut chances created, 0 goals, 0 points, Harry and Kev. 0, 0, 0. We're just a bunch of zeros. And I want to move the conversation on just a little bit because there is so much to talk about. The transfer window ends tomorrow, Harry. We're all losing hope in terms of where we'll end up. Is Bellerin going to be able to be moved on? Will we be able to sell Kolasinac? Is Reece going to go on loan? All of these things, but who's going to come in? The point is about getting us out of this bottom place, right? We're bottom of the league. I'm going to be honest. When I saw the Premier League table last night, it gave me nightmares. It was like a nightmare on Arsenal Street, not a nightmare on Elm Street. Because when you look at the top and the bottom, I know it's only 9 points. And we've played the champions of Europe and the champions of England. But I think what makes this worse is the Brentford game sandwiched in between that. Had that game not happened, I think we'd be like, expected. We got thrashed by the two best teams in Europe. What's your take on how we end up, where we go from here? Is he going to get us out of this mess?
I don't think he is. Since we lost to Villarreal in the Europa League last season, I've started to have doubts about whether he's ever going to get us to the point that we need to get to. But I was very much of the opinion, if you're going to not sack him after that and you're going to keep hold of him, and then you're going to give him the whole summer, and then you're going to start the season with 2 of your 3 fixtures being against Chelsea and Manchester City, then you can't sack him 3 games in. That's the rational way of looking at it. We're fans and we're emotional, and we're upset. We look at that table, we see Arsenal, as you mentioned, rock bottom of the league, haven't scored a goal yet. And it's worrying. And from emotion, a lot of us are now at the point where we want to see Mikel Arteta go and be moved on. But if you're an owner of a football club and you have just given him whatever amount of money you've given him over the summer, 120, 125 million pound, without really that many significant outgoings when you think about it, to kind of subsidize that, then you're not going to sack him at this point, are you? It's just not going to happen. KSE we're not going to wake up tomorrow and hear that Mikel Arteta has been sacked. I would be shocked if that happened. So what my point is, and why I've been getting so much grief on social media, is go to the stadium and get behind Arsenal and support the team, and not be waiting there for Arsenal to fail, because there are a lot of people out there who claim to be Arsenal fans that are waiting for Arsenal to fail so they can say, I told you so. And maybe they'll get some likes and some retweets and some clicks on whatever video it is they've done. That's the reality of where we are at the moment. And people can talk about the club, going in the wrong direction. It absolutely is. But I still think, we've got to be realistic about what the owners are going to do here.
Harry, what is the difference with seeing our Premier? He's broken every record for all of the wrong reasons. He's lost more games at home in his time period than in 20 months than Wenger did in 6 years. He's worse than Emery in the league, and Emery was he was completely ripped to shreds. He has been so poor. His FA Cup win was, you could argue, with the remnants of Emery's team. And it's just not good enough. And I know it's difficult for us because they've spent this money, so I can see how they want him maybe to ride the wave a little bit, and maybe there's a time period for this. And I understand you saying go to the stadium and get behind the team, but how much more of this are the fans gonna take? I think
you're saying we've spent the money and it's not got us anywhere. Ramsdale's played 1 game in the Cup. Martin Odegaard has played 1 game in the Premier League away to Manchester City.
But he was there last season too.
Right. So he had from the end of January. So he had February, March, and an injury, April, and half of May. He had 4 months to make an impact. Let's judge Martin Odegaard this season. Forget what happened last season. So you got Ramsdale, you've got Odegaard, you got Ben White. What's he played? A game, and then he got COVID. So these players that we've brought in, we're automatically assuming that all of them are going to be failures because of where we are in the league. We haven't seen anything from any of them yet. We don't actually know how much this team has improved. The bigger issue for me, and an issue that goes under the radar, and listen, I'm not slagging these 2 players off because I absolutely adore them and I love them. Emile Smith-Rowe and Bukayo Saka should not be relied upon at this level to be carrying Arsenal Football Club. If you think that we're going to compete, if we think we're going to compete at the top of the Premier League with those 2 players who have got bags and bags of talent, but are still kids, are still developing, are still learning, and actually, when you look at their output statistically, are nowhere near the elite wingers and the elite number 10s in the Premier League, you're setting yourselves up to fail. So this is Arsenal is a much bigger issue than, we signed Odegaard and that's not enough, or Ramsdale or Ben White. We don't know how this team is going to develop over the course of this season. We've had a rocky start. Let's see how it goes. You said it yourself, Soph. We expected to lose those 2 games. We've lost to Brentford. We're 9 points off the top. I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying it's acceptable. I'm not saying it's happy about it. But it's not fatal 3 games into the season. So we got to stop acting as if the world has ended, because it hasn't. We could go and win 3-4 games on the trot now, and the table would look very, very different.
Dan, what's your take on that and your response to Harry? It's Monday night, so
That's fine.
it's Dan
wish
v
I
Harry.
was-
I mean, it's old school stuff here.
I wish I was as optimistic as Mr. Symeou, I'll tell you that. I mean, I can't be, because although I agree with what Harry said about Saka and Smith Rowe, I think a lot of the other stuff that he's saying, you can have opinions against it as well, because this fan base have been sold a complete dream. I think the Arsenal fan base are very gullible, if I'm honest with you. And I think we've been proved right to be gullible for most of this summer window as well. We are going to spend 250 million and we're going to get this war chest, and this team is going to look like it's going to be competing with the Manchester City and Manchester Uniteds of this side. The reason we have no hope of that happening is because we do not have a manager capable of taking us to that next level. And that is why, with Harry's point about the fan base, and I totally understand that there are a section of the fan base that are very toxic. You get that in every section of the fan base. But I have sympathy for the fans that are going to games and are struggling to get behind this team at the moment, because it is so bad and it's dross. And turning up and supporting your team and trying to will them on has kind of died now. We're all exhausted of that, because we know what is going to happen at the moment in front of our eyes. And if we can see it happening, and when it does happen, it becomes even more frustrating when nothing is done about it at the top. And I think that when Stan Kroenke and Josh Kroenke look at the fan base that are all attending games still, then of course they're going to be thinking, this team are absolutely fine. Because when this team turn up, they don't shout Kroenke out, they shout AFTV out. They're quite happy that AFTV are the problem, not us. We're going to sit back. So there is a section of this fan base that I think have got things completely wrong. And I'm not saying that you've not got a right to hate AFTV or any other podcast at all. But the problem I have with this fan base, and it touches on what Harry's talking about, is we cannot unite as a fan base. I've said it so many times. It is always somebody else's problem. Yeah, it always is.
We did over the Super League, though, Dan. We did find a way to unite.
And you know what happened after that, Soph? We protested against Everton, and what happened the week after? We clapped the team bus in, and then the week after that it rained, so everyone stayed in the pub. So Josh Kroenke turned up to the game with a Brighton fan base that had only a few people in it because there was COVID. And then what we saw was people just decide to say, we won the game. End of the season. Let's see what happens. So as a fan base, we unite, against protests and Super Leagues and all that. And then when we hear, we're allowed back in the stadium, it's all selfie time. I'm here back at the Emirates. Let's come and have a sit down and a drink and a beer and get me flag out and start waving Kroenke out. They're the problem for me.
Can I just?
He was there. Josh Kroenke was there, and we did nothing.
Yeah, that is right.
Watch the game.
That is right.
Not going to change.
Dan is spot on there. Yeah, he's absolutely spot on with that. You know, there's a lot of people that online they'll say one thing, and when they go, they'll do something completely different. I completely agree with that. But just going back to that point about the whole team not being at the level that we expect it to be, right? And I mentioned Saka and Smith Rowe. How many goals do you think they got in the Premier League between them last season?
10 at best, maybe
7. 7.
Yeah.
Okay, they got 7 in the Premier League last season between them.
It's not good enough.
Now, to understand why Arsenal are not at the level that everyone thinks we should be, I'm looking at the Golden Boot list from last season, okay? Mohamed Salah, not a centre-forward, 22 goals. Bruno Fernandes at United, 18 goals. Son Heung-min at Tottenham, 17 goals. Yeah, and I'm looking through the list of players. Ilkay Gundogan, 13 goals. Players that are not even centre-forwards. Wilfred Zaha, 11. Mateus Pereira at West Brom, 11. Sadio Mane, 11. Bale, 11. Now, when you look at that, you can see that the top teams have players that are contributing week in, week out. We can kid ourselves that Saka and Smith Rowe today are good enough to take us to that level, but they're not. So if you're expecting Arsenal with a bunch of kids leading the line who might well go on to be great players, but aren't there yet, to achieve at that level week in, week out, then you can say that we're deluded, but actually it's delusion if you think that they're going to take the team there. They're not. They're not. No, we're not that good as a team yet. We're not there.
And I agree. And Kevin, I'm going to throw it to you because Kevin said long and hard on this show that you can't rely on kids. Kev, 1,200 people in live chat. Tell them.
Come on, guys. 600 likes minimum, guys. We got Dapper Dan Potts and we got Harry Symeou. We got the hostess with the mostest, Sophie. And listen, Bruk your necktie. Come on, guys. Minimum 600. Do you know what I'd like to say as well? I've said it at the start and I'm going to say it again. And Dan's going to smile when I say this. These players are going to get Mikel Arteta the sack, right? He will get the sack.
Mikel Arteta will get himself the sack.
No. These players, because if you cannot do the basics, Sophie, if you cannot do the basics right, it does not matter how you set up, what system you play, etc. Because here's the thing. Do you remember we played Manchester City at the Emirates last season? Mm-hmm. Holding got done by Sterling for a header in our own box. He got done by Jota with a header as well. And now here's Gundogan, who's another midget. He does Chambers at the back post. So my point is this.
We need taller players.
No, my point is this. I remember you said to me, Sophie, that we should have played three at the back, etc. And I said it doesn't matter because they don't defend, they don't do the basics right. We played three centre backs at Manchester City, and we're still getting done on the back post when you got three centre backs.
We were getting done by Brentford. Terrible.
No. But what I'm saying is that was with two centre backs. When we got three centre backs, we're getting done by a small midfielder at the back post. So they will get him the sack.
So, Kev, can I ask you then? Why?
Sorry, let
why
me just
is
finish this point.
Okay,
let me just finish this
right.
point, and then you ask me. The big problem after he gets the sack is who we attract. Because you know what? All of these big name managers who the Chronicles should have moved twice for after Wenger and after Emery, who's going to stake their reputation now that the transfer window closes? Who's going to stake their reputation watching these guys defend? Because I'm telling you now, if it's Conte, there will be fights in training. He will be punching
God, there'll
players.
be bloodshed. There'll be bloodshed.
I'm telling you. And
they're going to need the ambulance.
Do then? Yeah, what would they do then? Because these players who had it nice and mollycoddled, Conte's going to be brucking necks in there.
He's not coming to Arsenal. Antonio Conte is not coming to Arsenal. But I will give you a name because I've been doing some homework over the weekend. But before I give you a name, Kev, I wanted to ask you all this. Then why? And I know, Harry, you've got a hard finish at 9 or a little bit after. Good evening to all 1,200 of you in live chat.
Let Harry answer.
We got
first.
Dan Potts from Lee Judges. We got Harry Symeou, the host and founder of Chronicles of a Gooner, and we got Super Kevin Campbell in the house. And God bless each and every one of you listening. When I know it's hard to be an Arsenal fan right now, we really appreciate you. We've been done on that right side every single game this season. It has, and I heard you and Darren Lewis on Sky Sports as well, Kev, and Darren Lewis brought this up to you as well. And I guess my issue, and I'll start with Harry, is when you can see that happening in game and you are allowing Tierney to just get bitch slapped for 90 plus minutes and you don't make any changes, you make substitutes in the second half, you don't make any in-game changes to rectify that. Harry, why is this continually happening over and over again? Why is he not improving that, working on that, or changing that when we're in the middle of the game and in the eye of the tsunami?
Because he's obviously not that tactically astute, and you know that's why a lot of people are upset and frustrated by the things he's doing. And I can accept those criticisms. You know, when people are talking about how, you know, he is not setting the team up right, or they don't like the formations, or they can't understand certain selections, I actually agree with a lot of that. You know, I'm not sitting here defending every single decision that Mikel Arteta makes, but I think there are different types of managers as well. Okay, there are guys who are coaches who have a real strong philosophy and they base their game on a particular way and they want to see that unfold, and they're not as kind of hands-on. A prime example of a manager who is very well thought of but doesn't make a lot of in-game changes in terms of adapting his shape and his philosophy is someone like Marcelo Bielsa. Okay, he's got a system, he's got a philosophy, and it doesn't matter if they're 4-0 down or if they're 4-0 up. Leeds play the same way all the time, and he trusts in that philosophy. And then there are other managers who are reactive, and by being reactive quickly and getting ahead of things, they manage to stop problems and they manage to deal with issues. I don't know what Mikel Arteta is yet as a manager. I've said it over the last few days. I think he's out of his depth. I'm not sure he's ever going to turn it around. And I think he's still got a lot of development as a manager before he's ready for a job like this. So, I can't really say why he doesn't do it, because he should be doing it. I think we can all agree on that. What's irritating me is when we're talking about other things that have nothing to do with Mikel Arteta, things that are hangovers from previously, like the players that we've still got at the club, like the fact that we can't get some of them out. It becomes a bit of a struggle. I think we're not very good as a fan base at differentiating between what is the manager's fault and what is something that is stems from the top of the club.
Harry, I think the buck stops. I think we all know the buck stops with the manager.
Absolutely.
There's nobody who will ever say it doesn't, because it does. And I truly believe, I've said it many times, I believe these players will get him the sack. And he's next in the block. Of course it is. But I'm looking at, okay, where do we go then? We need an experienced manager, Soph, don't we? We need an experienced man in the football club. He's not gonna make the players who make mistakes better, because they've been making mistakes for 3-4 different managers. So we need to turn over these players to get maybe not the so-called names in, but functional players who can do the job. And I think that's been our problem. That really is our problem.
Okay, so why don't we, Harry, I know you got to go. I'll start with you here. Where do we go from here? I mean, listen, we all can do tons of shows where we talk about how we failed tactically against Manchester City, how the defense is garbage and it's like pub team stuff. We can talk about how we need all of these players. At the end of the day, where do we go from here? We are rock bottom right now. We've got the international break. We come back. We've got Norwich, Burnley. Then we've got the North London derby. What happens next, Harry? Where do we go from here?
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head. We can all talk about things in hindsight, but to be a genius, you need to see things in foresight. You need to know what's coming. You need to make the right decisions ahead of time. And you look at this now, and the situation is clear for me. I don't believe that Mikel Arteta will be sacked right now. Whether you think he should or not, completely separate debate, not going down that rabbit hole again. But I don't think he's going to get sacked right now. So I think for Arsenal now, it's about regrouping. It's about if there is going to be any more deals, whether that's incomings and outgoings between now and the end of the transfer window, getting those concluded, getting that done, transfer window slam shut, and this is your squad. Now you work on getting the best out of it and you try and move forward. And I don't think you can look further than the Norwich game at the moment. I think it's so imperative that we get a result. We lift the crowd, we get everybody kind of, all right, people are not going to switch to being fully behind him again off the back of a win over Norwich, but you need to start working to mend that kind of relationship. And then we've got to take each game as it comes right now. I'm not overly stressed about the league table. It's horrible to look at. I've had 1,000,001 WhatsApps from Tottenham supporting friends, Man United supporting friends. It's horrible. But if I am being completely honest, am I scared that Arsenal are going to get relegated at this point in the season? Absolutely not. I'm not. So let's take it one game at a time for the moment. I don't think we're at that point in the season where we have to look 5-6 games ahead. I think it's just key that we get a win and we start to move forward and build that confidence back up. Maybe he should be sacked, but I don't think it's going to happen. Therefore, let's get behind the team.
Okay, we're going to let you go, Harry, because you have to go. And you and Dan were very cordial this evening. It was a very weird Monday. What's going on? Is it because we're all just kind of past that phase and we're just sad at the moment and we're all wiped out energy-wise? I think so, right?
Dan's been sending me some really polite texts lately. I think that's what it is. I'm feeling a little bit less hostile towards it.
It's just because all that crap that Harry got earlier on Twitter was actually me on a fake account. That's what it was.
Love it.
You let
Harry,
it all go.
thanks a lot for joining us, and we'll
Cheers,
catch you
Harry.
again soon on this
Harry.
channel.
Thank you,
and keep up the good work, and don't let the haters get to you.
No worries, I won't. Don't worry, I'm too
Okay.
I'm too old for that. Thank you guys,
All right.
appreciate
Top
it.
man.
Catch you
Cheers,
soon.
Harry. Thanks.
Take care.
Cheers,
Bye.
mate.
Bye-bye.
Cheers, Harry. Take care, mate.
Dan, same to you. Where do we go from here, Dan? Where do we go?
I mean, I'll tell you what I think we all want to see happen. I'll tell you what I think should happen, and I'll tell you what I think will happen, right? So there's three things. So this is what we all want to happen. We all want to see new owners. We all want them to be billionaires that are ambitious at doing one thing, and that's getting us back to the top. And by the top, I mean number one in the
very
league,
top,
right?
Yeah.
That's the very top, competing across the world in the Champions League. That's what we want to see happen. We want to see a board of Arsenal men. We want to see a manager that is a proven winner that we believe can take the team and build a team forward to take us to the very, very top. That's what we all want to see happen. Now let's be realistic, because that is not going to happen. So I'll tell you what I think should happen with what our resources are. The Chronicles are going nowhere, so let's just forget them for 1 minute. The board are going nowhere, in my opinion, so let's just forget them for a minute. What we can do is we can't change the owners, but we can change the manager. Now, there is a manager out there at the moment who we've mentioned in Antonio Conte that likes challenges, and those challenges are bringing a team that he believes could be there but are currently here. And that is Arsenal at the moment. Now, it's one hell of a challenge for any manager, of course it is, but it needs to be somebody who knows what they're doing. And somebody who knows what they're doing is Antonio Conte, because he's done it with Bari, he's done it with Chelsea, he's done it with Inter Milan and Juventus. And I believe that he could easily get Arsenal, even with this current crop of players, that, by the way, the first 11, if fit, are actually not a bad 11. I think he can move us forward. I think he can compete with the European places. I think we're dreaming if we think we're going to be with Man City, Liverpool and United and Chelsea. But of course, we can look to be the next best level of that and be as close as we can to that top four. And let's go for a trophy, because I love silverware, people. Yeah, I would take silverware every day of the week. So let's try and get a manager in who can do that. So that's where I go, in my opinion, for here and what we should do. And the next 2 days need to be busy with a Basuma, with a Max Aarons, and with somebody who can make us excited moving forward. Whether that is Husam Awar, whether that's a Calvert-Lewin that people are crying out for, whoever it be, something to lift the fan base. When we signed Charlie Nicholas, when we signed Dennis Bergkamp, when we signed Alexis Sanchez, when we signed Mesut Ozil, we were excited. I'm not excited by Ben White. I'm not excited by Lokonga. I think they're good potential players that are young. We need something to happen in the next couple of days that's going to get us excited. So that's what should happen. That's what we want to happen. What do I think will happen, Sophie? I think this board and this ownership will stick by this guy until the fans are at rock bottom in the stadium, toxicity at the highest level, haunting him out, just like we did with Unai Emery. And I don't see that in the next couple of days we're going to see much changed to this starting 11. And that does worry me.
Yeah,
that worries me more than anything else.
I agree. I feel like we've already hit rock bottom, Kevin, and it's definitely a difficult time, and I think that's why usually we have two shows. I should have called this Mellow Monday, because it's been tough, Kev. It's hard. We feel like the life's been sucked out of us, and where do we go from here, Kev? Where do we go from here?
It is hard to take, but here's where this is the only thing where we go, because, like I said, the owners have brought him in over more experienced managers. So they've given him money, and what he needs is he's better players on the football pitch. That's what he needs. And we need to win. We need to beat Norwich. That's what we need to do. Gabriel's just coming back. Thomas Partey, I believe, is going to be training next week, so he's got a couple of weeks to train. We need these guys back as quickly as possible. Ben White hopefully will be back, and I know it's not gonna be the be all and end all, but we need our better players, and we've got what is it, 24 hours to do some business. We've got to try and do as much business as we can, because the strength in depth, like players who are not going to be starting, are not good enough. Let's be brutally honest, they're not. So that's the only thing Arsenal can do right now, because I can't see them bringing a new manager in, although I do believe these players are going to get him the sack.
People say, and I mentioned it earlier, we don't know, we never really knew much about Patrick Vieira when he came in, or Emmanuel Petit, and a lot of players. And I'm not saying Lokonga's going to be either of those two, but there is something about him. We don't know about Ben White yet. But I think the problem for me is that knowing and seeing what he's done in the Premier League for the last 19, 20 months, I'm hoping that changes with these new signings. And that's when we're really going to see his team, isn't it? Against Norwich, against Burnley, against Spurs. And then, Kev, if the results are the same, how long does he get, Dan and Kev?
I think Spurs, North London derby, I think that's the one. These three, just like the first 3 games has gone, here's a batch of 3 games: Norwich, Burnley, and the North London derby. If the team do well in these next 3, then you could probably start. Not saying that it's fixed, but okay, we're moving. But if we do poorly, like we have done, it's the inevitable is going to happen. It is going to happen.
Do you, Dan and Kev? Do you think that we're going to be able to shift Bellerin and Kolasinac and move these loan deals on, like
by the way,
Reece
Willian, they've reached agreement with Willian.
Yeah, Corinthians. Yeah, that's done. And
That's
you know
done.
what? Willian made it easy for the club. A lot of these other players that were on 6 figures a week dragged their tails and whatever. And it was a horrible, horrific, probably the worst ever signing we've ever had. And I don't say that loosely. We've had a few in the past, but you know what? Godspeed and good luck.
Fair play to him for that.
Because he didn't need to.
Likewise. He didn't need to. There's a lot of players we've seen that we've had to pay to leave, and it's just been a nightmare. At least fair play to him.
This isn't true, is it? Renato Sanchez is going to Wolves on a loan deal. That's not true. Someone just put that in chat. That can't be true. Come on.
No. Don't know.
Oh my gosh! Okay, I can't.
Sabitz has gone to Bayern for like 13 million today.
Yeah, that was always on the cards.
That
is there going to be Dan? Carry on, Dan. Carry on your thought on that last point.
Well, I was just going to answer the points about do we think we'll get rid of some players? Yeah, I do. I do think we will. But I don't know who the hell is going to want these players, Soph. I mean, I understand some of the youngsters. We might see a loan for Nelson, and we might see Eddie finally go to Palace. We might see, some of the youngsters already. We've seen Aziz going on loan to Portsmouth. We can see a few of those happen, I think. I don't know who the hell is going to want Bellerin and Kolasinac. Even if you left them outside with a sign that said free to a good home, they'd be there the next morning. They are so bad. It's unbelievable. And Bellerin must be on over 100k a week. And I know for a fact Kolasinac is on 125k a week. So this is going to be another mutual termination, or we just keep them in the squad, or they just rot in the reserves, or they're part of the squad. And this is the problem we've got. And why I'm not that excited, Sophie, is I don't think it actually matters. You've mentioned Lokonga, you've mentioned White, you've mentioned Tavares young, Tierney's still young, and we've also got the Sakas and Smith-Rowes and Martinellis. But I don't think this manager is good for them, and I don't think that he's going to be here long enough to actually see that this progress is going to go anywhere. So you asked the question earlier about how long has he got? The next loss. That is it. The next loss. I honestly believe it will be the last one. I don't think he can lose to Norwich, and I don't think he can lose to Burnley either. He's got to take 6 points, or he's going to have to go. And that's before the North London derby. So when I started the season and I said, I give him 6 games and a North London derby, it was madness, Dan. Absolute madness. Only 6 games. And now, it's seeming like his time's nearly up. So I think far ahead, we come out with something which sounds ridiculous, but actually it's not 6 games, is it? Because these 6 games have just added on to the last season and the season, half of season he had before that, of absolute dross. No progress, no positive play, no attractive style of football. I don't see high intensity, off the ball pressure, good defending, balanced team. I don't see any of that. So unless I start to see that miraculously in the next game against Norwich, then I think his time is up. I honestly do so.
And Dan, I think last season we only got 1 point off Burnley, right? And Norwich are fighting for their survival and lives. And we've seen them pull out the odd, Norwich will be I think Norwich are destined for relegation. They're just that type of. They're a yo-yo team. They're a little bit up and they're very much up and down. But if we don't beat them and we get 1 point against Burnley and we lose the North London derby, Kev, he's got to go at that point. We cannot be in that position come October, surely.
Sophie, I'll tell you one thing Norwich will do. Norwich will get stuck right into us.
Yeah, they will.
And you know, like Brentford, if we don't match them, we are in trouble. I'm telling you, we are in trouble. And that's why I think Norwich are going to do it. And you know Burnley are going to do it. That's for sure. We have to meet the physical challenge. We have to match them. Yeah, we're more talented than them. But if we don't match that physical challenge, it's no point even. It's no point.
And they're daredevils, aren't they, Kev? They're daredevils. They like to play with speed, don't they, guys?
100%.
They're not afraid.
They're not afraid.
No, they're not afraid. Yeah.
Do you know what it is as well, guys? I can tell you, I can name you on paper 3 sides worse than Arsenal. I can't tell you 3 teams playing better than worse than Arsenal at the moment. And that's a worry. When you're bottom of the league and Norwich is your next game, you know, and people are joking about a 6-pointer and all this stuff already, you look at it and think, I don't know 3 teams at the moment that look like they're playing worse football than Arsenal do right now. And that's a massive worry when there's a lot of teams on paper worse than us.
I was talking about that the other night, Dan. Name me 3 teams that are worse than us right now. I think Norwich are on a par
right
with
now.
us.
We're the worst.
Right now we're the worst.
Right now we are the worst.
Listen, guys, we're going to be getting stuck a lot more into this over the coming days. We're going to know a lot more about our team after tomorrow. The transfer deadline window shuts. And I've got to tell you, I know we need players, but my goodness, I will be so relieved when it shuts, you guys, so we can just get on and figure out this is the team, this is what we've got, this is who we're going to have or he's going to have at his disposal. And at the end of the day as well, the owners have to man up, because if this is, going to get to the North London derby and we only have 2 points, we cannot afford to go into the November and December rush being in the bottom 3. This is and these players, they don't know, they've never been there before. They can't fight out of a paper bag right now, let alone fight out of the bottom 3. This is really rock bottom, and we need football rehab. And those owners need to be prepared to take the 12 necessary steps to rebuild this club. Whether it's with this manager and I don't know, but give him at least till the end of. I don't want to give him, and people ask me, and I'm going to do it tomorrow, you guys, with the Tuesday-ish club returns with Super Kevin Campbell and David Hillier. But if I'm going to pick a manager that I think is doable and reachable, for me, it's Christophe Galtier. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that tomorrow. You've all been saying, well, who's your name? Who's your name you thought about over the weekend? There's my name, Christophe Galtier. Because you need someone to come in, and people poo-poo Eddie Howe, but he took Bournemouth from the 4th division up. He can work at grassroots level. He can roll his sleeves up. This might be Antonio Conte comes in like United. You had David Moyes, you had Louis van Gaal, then you had, Mourinho, then you get Ole in. We are not there yet. We may go through 2 or 3 managers before we get to our next guy. And I tell you, one of the things that is going to be challenging for us is to develop patience. And that is a really expensive commodity to invest in these days, Kevin.
Yeah, well, we've said it for probably 18 months. So patience, because we know what it looks like, we know what it feels like, but we're not seeing it. And again, you get a new manager in, who's to say that it's gonna click? We just don't know. So again, it's a tough time. It's a tough time.
And I know you're all saying Galtier just joined Nice. I know that. But I tell you, when a Premier League club comes calling, anything's possible. And you just got to have the right owners who are willing to invest in that. Like Dan said as well, and Kevin said, you want to bring in Antonio Conte, you've got to give him a war chest. He's not just going to come in and work with these players. And the window shutting is not happening. Arteta will be here for a little bit longer. So we've got to hunker down and hopefully we can get out of the rut. Right, Dan, tell everyone where they can find you. Go on, mate. No, go on. Finish your thought first.
No, listen, all I was going to say was there are names of managers out there, trust me. This whole who can we get in, that frustrated. But even when Wenger was like, yeah, but who are we going to get? We've seen so many managers go and manage other clubs. It would have been fantastic for Arsenal. When Klopp and Guardiola were both available, everyone was saying, but who else can do a better job than Arsene Wenger? Well, Klopp and Guardiola definitely could have because they've proven it. But when you look at what we're looking at, Conte, I agree. It might be unrealistic if he wants a war chest, if he wants lots of money, and if we haven't got that to give him. But there are managers out there that have more experience than Mikel Arteta that have proven that they have a playing style. Graham Potter is one of those at Brighton. Ten Hag is one of them at Ajax. Even Ralph Hassan, who at Southampton has got a style. I wouldn't go for him, but he's got a style of play. David Moyes at West Ham has proven he's got a style of play. So as much as some of those names I wouldn't have, personally, Ten Hag or Gasperini at Atalanta, I would take one of those two. I would go Graham Potter because I really think what he's doing there is some magnificent stuff. Even Brighton to start this season as they have. Wow, just really, really impressed with the team they've got and what he's doing. They would all be risks though. Let's not get it twisted. They would all be risks. Doesn't mean they're all going to come in and do the job, but they would all be better options for me than Mikel Arteta moving forward. And that was all I was going to say.
And more experience, right, Dan?
100%. You need that. We need to have an experienced manager now with this project. It's not an easy fix, this. And, you know, Mikel Arteta, has he done the best job he can? 100%. I've no doubt. But it hasn't been good enough and it hasn't worked. And I don't think there's many games left for him, if I'm honest with you. And I think it will be time for us to move on then.
Yeah. All right, KC, it's time for you to do a little bit of this because there's 1,200 of them in live chat.
1,200 and we got less than 600 likes. Guys, come on.
You know what to do.
Where's Vinny? Where's Vinny to help me, by the way? I need Vinny to help me. Hit that like button. Come on, press it. Go on, Vinny.
I love that.
Come on, guys. Hit the like button. We've had Harry Symeou, we've had Dapper Dan, we've had Sophie on and myself. Hit the like button. Give us minimum 50%. Thank you for joining us as well. It's been
Dan.
Superb.
Let everyone know where they can find you. Doing great stuff this season already. Let the kids know.
Well, listen, first of all, thanks for having me back on. I always love coming on here, talking to you guys and obviously the amazing guests and seeing the regular chat. I never cease to amaze me. The people that keep coming back, the names I recognize. It's great stuff. So great work what you guys are both doing on the Highbury squad. It's grown and grown, particularly over the last few weeks. It's absolutely smashing it, which is great to see. And of course, please make sure you hit a like and subscribe on this video. If you do want to come and support myself or follow me and Lee Judges, then you can do over at Lee Judges TV. Myself, Lee and Kev have been doing some filming today in the studio, which was some great fun. And there's some new content out for you to go and view over there today, talking about all things Arsenal. And we've got some influencers on there as well that are just talking about why they support the club and their kind of opinions of what's been happening at the moment. So if you wouldn't mind coming and checking out our content, Lee Judges TV on YouTube, follow us on all the socials, and if you do want to follow myself, then it's at DanArsenal87 on Twitter and Instagram.
Fantastic. And Kev, our Monday shows are always a little bit longer. Thanks for hanging in there. Radio show style. Well, we're actually going to do that for 2 or 3 hours one day. Super Kev, you take us out. And tomorrow we will be back with the Tuesday-ish Club, the Players Lounge with Super Kev and David Hillier. You will not want to miss that.
I think that one's going to get a little bit spicy. I could tell you that much. There's going to be a bit of fire in that one. Dan, thanks again, Dapper Dan, for coming on and joining us, mate. Really appreciate that. Harry Symeou, obviously, appreciate him coming on from Chronicles of a Gooner. Sophie, hostess with the mostest as always. Brilliant opinions, and you always keep us in check without the samurai as well. And you squaddies are always fantastic. Keep hitting that like button. I want minimum 600 now, guys. But listen, we're going to see you tomorrow. And you know where we go. Up the Arsenal. And I salute you, squaddies.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad.